So a lot of shit happened between Hurley and this album. I mean, it was a 4-year gap. That's nearly the amount of time between Pinkerton and Green, so let's get the rundown of what the hell happened after Hurley. First, in November of 2010, Weezer released a compilation album which contained unused recordings of songs throughout the years entitled Death to False Metal. This included a song called Turning Up the Radio, which Rivers wrote with the help of his fans on his YouTube channel all the way back in the summer of 2008 called Let's Write a Song. All the videos are still up, so you can watch them all and see the unedited glory that is this awkward but enjoyable YouTube series.
Let me see here. What?
All in all, though, this album is passable. Even though Rivers considers it a Weezer album, it isn't. It's just unused stuff that was re-recorded or reworked. Nothing spectacular. That same day, a deluxe edition of Pinkerton was released by Geffen, a whole 6 years after the Blue Album Deluxe. Oh, and Geffen, I know Weezer aren't with you anymore, but when's that Green Deluxe edition coming? Please be soon, please. A whole year later, in December of 2011, Rivers released his final album of the Alone trilogy entitled The Pinkerton Years, as well as his first book called The Pinkerton Diaries. This book is no longer being made, and it costs a bomb if you're going to buy it on eBay. I recommend finding a folder of JPEGs on the web or something. That's what I did. Maybe even watch Rivers' public reading of it on YouTube, up to you. This contains so many neat diary entries and original song lyrics, never before seen pictures from Rivers himself, even from the Black Hole days. Very cool, worth a read. Weezer then recorded a cover of You Might Think by the Cars for the film Cars 2. Yeah, very smart pun there, guys. Not much in this cover passable. On October 8th of 2011, former Weezer bassist Mikey Welsh, who worked on the Green album with the band, was found dead in a hotel room in Chicago. The next night he was set to make a surprise appearance, which he had done previously throughout the tour. Weezer dedicated the concert the next night to him. Weezer started working on their 9th studio album in late 2010 with the intent of releasing it sometime in 2011, although as we know that never happened. The band headlined some more tours until summer of 2012. The band went on what they called the Memories Tour for most of 2013, where they would play sometimes the Blue album in its entirety, or Pinkerton in its entirety, maybe even throw in a few deep cuts. It was a tour solely for the fans, and I really respect Weezer for doing that. Another thing to note is that in August of 2013, Patrick Wilson sadly lost his wife Jennifer to cancer. He would later remarry a few years later. Throughout all this, everyone was expecting a breakup message to come out any day now. I mean, think about it. No album for 4 years, tours where they play their fan favourites, touring extensively, making a goddamn Weezer cruise. It seemed like a swan song, a goodbye to everyone. That isn't what was happening. Weezer were alerting their fans. They were getting back into rock. After mediocre album to mediocre album, the fans were getting what they wanted, a rock Weezer. The band began recording in January 2014 with producer Rick Ocasek, who the band had previously worked with on the Blue and Green self-titled albums. They signed to Republic Records, and after a multitude of teaser clips and videos, the first single was released on July 22nd, 2014, Back to the Shack. This is an apology song. He's basically saying, I'm sorry, let's get back on track. And you know what? I accept your apology, Rivers. Despite being a relatively basic song in its structure and power chords, it has that fantastic classic Weezer sound, which also shows their maturity, and it kicks ass. The bridge changes things up lightly, but still, this song is a teaser in itself of what this album is like. On the same day as the song was released, so was the name of the album, Everything Will Be Alright in the End, or EWBAITE for short, that's what I'll be calling it. Needless to say, the fans were excited. The album finally released on October 7th of 2014 and became their best reviewed since Pinkerton. But let's take a look at what is considered to be the best Weezer album in 18 years, and see if the hype was not misplaced. The opening track is called Ain't Got Nobody and returns to the classic Weezer formula of I'm a loser who has no girlfriend. And it rules, gospel and all. This is what fans were waiting for all these years, Weezer returning to their rock formula, and it pays off. My only problem is that it sounds insincere. Rivers is married and has kids. He has got someone. And it just defeats the point of the song, like it's another Weezer parody. At least it comes off better than Memories, that's for damn sure. After Back to the Shack is an interesting track called Eulogy for a Rock Band. It's interesting because we don't know who Rivers wrote this song about. In a Reddit AMA about 4 years ago or so, he said he would tell us when they die. Who is it about? The thing is that he's singing about a band, like a whole group of people. Anyway, enough of that. The music is good here. Rivers has really nailed the falsettos in the past couple of years in like a particular song by the name of Greatest Man That Ever Lived. Ryan's backing vocals bring a bit of depth to the song, and the guitars are tuned up full blast here. It's brilliant, but I must say a bit unremarkable. 3 songs and nothing has really stood out, you know? Blue started with Jonas, No One Else in the World Has Turned back to back. Pinkerton had Tired of Sex, Get You, and no other one starting it up, and these are all powerful tracks with creative lyrics, good and catchy guitar riffs, bass work from the almighty and sorely missed Matt Sharp, and the depth that the band had to them. Remember, Buddy Holly and Say It Ain't So were off the same album. I hate to say it, but you'll only find a smidge worth of difference in tracks on this album. There's one track in particular that really pushes this point across, but that'll be coming up in just a sec. Meanwhile, we explode into Lonely Girl. The guitar part is again kinda... ugh. I like the harmonies from Scott and Brian, but the main vocal melody is kinda bland throughout the entire song. You know, still not really impressed, but remember, this album came out in 2014, a time when rock and Weezer were still like 2 long-lost brothers. When this album first came out, I can assure you, everyone stopped and forgot about the past and just had fun for 43 minutes. And that's really what this album is, fun, you know? Anyway, this is a skippable track, but likeable. Anyway, here's the track I was talking about in Eulogy for a Rock Band, and it has to be my favourite on the whole album. I've had it up to here. This echoes some of the same points that Back to the Shack brought to the table, but has way more frustration to it. This portrays how sick to death he was of putting out album after album that the fans hated, and him coming round to the fact that the reason people loved Weezer was the rock. There's nothing wrong with the pop stuff, especially the early pop stuff, i.e. Green, but it's not Weezer. Rivers' vocals are outstanding on this track, the bridge especially. This immediately transitions into the weirdest track, The British Are Coming. It's sort of like the Buddy Holly of this album. There's no personal attachment, it's just a silly little track. I remember not liking this the first time I heard it, but my god, have I done a complete 180 on it. It's one of the best on the album. It showcases the capability that Weezer have when they try. It goes from a twangy guitar sound to a gentle piano in a matter of seconds, and that solo is one of the best we've had in a long time. A must-listen for Weezer fans. Crossing over the halfway point into Da Vinci, a confusing one to say the least. It's gentle in the verses, I like the many different types of guitars, occasionally chipping in while Rivers sings them, and the chorus is kind of like what I was talking about towards the beginning of the record, a bit bland. The lyrics are real dorky, not that impressive. It's got really nothing to do with Leonardo da Vinci. Hell, it talks about Stephen Hawking and Ancestry.com. Why isn't it called one of those instead? Okay, right. I'm nitpicking now, I know. A pretty shite track next, Go Away. I can see that Rivers is still not really sold on the rock idea. If it weren't for the guitars, I could see this track, believe it or not, fitting on Raditude. Dead fucking serious. And has a female singer on it too, someone named Bethany Cosentino, who is known best from the band Best Coast. From the 3 or 4 tracks I've heard from them, they went from like a lo-fi Radiohead wannabe to a poppy Lana Del Rey-esque band. Not the most interesting band thing ever, but that begs the question, how the fuck did she get on a Weezer record? Anyway, god, this track has pop written all over it, but as I said, the blazing guitars stop it from being just that. Unsurprisingly, it was an unsuccessful single. I'm telling you, Rivers has pop on his mind. He's just keeping it buried. This is followed by a Motown song, Cleopatra. It's pretty cool. I love the transition from the verse to the chorus, but you can totally tell they've turned it down a bit for this one. If there was a slow song on the record, I'd say it was this one, but the pre-bridge proves me wrong with an Egyptian sound, echoing from the title, and then an explosive bridge where they try to guess the age of the women that they're singing about in the song. It's kind of funny. I like it. Not a bad one. There's a lot better on here, though. This brings us to what I'll call the second last track, Foolish Father, and that verse, where the hell have I heard it before? Really, guys? Gorillas? Anyway, it's half decent. I think it's about Rivers' dad, but he talks about a daughter, and I'm kind of confused in the end. The chorus is not bad, not the best, but alright. The most enjoyable part of the verses. It's a real heavy feel-good ink, and while it's clearly not Weezer's, they try to make it their own. But then comes what I'll call the final track. The Future Scope trilogy, split up into 3 parts. The Wasteland, Anonymous, and Return to Ithaca. It's one of the best musical pieces they've ever written, in my opinion. The Wasteland, it's purely instrumental, but they make these goddamn guitars sing. It's beautiful. The drums are outstanding. Great to see Pat back doing what he does best and not fucking about with the guitar. Anonymous immediately changes things up when they introduce a piano, and the slow build-up into the vocal part is very Only in Dreams. Yeah, remember that from 20 years ago? Anyway, the vocals are surprisingly not what you should be focusing on here, it's the music. A brilliant fucking song, and this is only the second part of the trilogy. What a song! Really took everyone by surprise. The part where Rivers sings an Anonymous, the title towards the end, it's catchy as sin, and it screams classic Weezer. Like, they remastered a jamming session from '94 and put it at the end of this album. The final part, Return to Ithaca, is again very Only in Dreams sounding. The drums have sort of taken a back seat here, and the guitars have come full force. Then a piano is introduced again to accompany the guitar, and it works. I don't know how, but it works somehow. This was a great way to end the album, and that ending solo shows the capability that Weezer still have. Christ alive, what a journey. I give Everything Will Be Alright in the End a solid 8.5 out of 10. It was going to be a 7.5, but the trilogy bumped it up a full point. If you're going to listen to one part of this album, let it be the Futurescope trilogy. It's the Only in Dreams that the classic fans have been waiting for. This was followed by a lot of nothing. The band headlined a few small tours and whatnot, but really they just sort of lay low, The band left Republic Records and joined Crush Music instead, and a new producer was signed for the next album by the name of Jake Sinclair, a long-time Weezer fan who was ready to make whatever was next the best Weezer experience that was available. Rivers grew out his beard again, which is a telltale sign that something good is coming. He had a beard during Pinkerton's recording, during Maladroit, and the moustache during Red, which gave that some sort of positive energy to make it as good as it was. So what did Weezer have up their sleeve? Well, we found out on October 26, 2015, when the band released the lead single from their new upcoming and, at this point in time, untitled album, Thank God for Girls.
The girl in the pastry shop with the net in her hair is making a cannoli for you to take on your hiking trip in the woods with your bros that you've known since second grade and you...
This track had everyone's jaws drop to the floor after EWBAITE, which people thought was Weezer's swan song. They kick you in the balls and say, the guitars are on point, the bass is majestic, the drums are ear-blasting, and Rivers gives a nearly breath-losing performance. Who cares what it's about? It kicks so much ass, you don't even notice what it is about. This is a brilliant lead single, one of the best they ever released. After that, Weezer fans were shitting their pants with excitement. This was followed by another 4 tracks before the album actually came out, one of which was leaked. It was what everyone was waiting for. The fabled 4th self-titled album, The White Album, not to be confused with the Beatles' self-titled album of the same name, and it was released on April Fool's Day of 2016, so let's take a look at it anyway, from the top. This is The White Album. Starting with California Kids, this album wastes no time showing you the improvement from EWBAITE. There's a punky sound that I just can't get enough of, and that chorus, oh that chorus. I love this damn song, what a tune, seriously. That solo crunches up everything you knew about Weezer in a paper ball and then mellows out before exploding yet another time. The guitars also make it, and Rivers sounds like he's having the time of his life. My god. And that is just the first track. It immediately transitions into Wind in Our Sail. This is yet another top-class song. A powerful chorus that gives it an almost ballad sound. That piano is pitch perfect, and the nonsensical lyrics are bringing back the Weezer we all knew and loved. God, what a good song too. Seriously, I'm impressed. For an album that came out of nowhere, it really rules. After Thank God for Girls, we have Girl We Got a Good Thing, a bouncy song that is really damn enjoyable. That chorus is catchy, man. A crunchy verse with nice lyrics about two people just having a good relationship. It reminds me of a Green song in a way, but with way more depth to it. That bridge is so great, reminds me of Blast Off for some reason, not sure why. Then we transition to Pinkerton, or what sounds like it. Yes, this is Do You Want to Get High, a powerful and almost graceful song about taking as many drugs as possible. This is actually one of the weakest tracks, but it's still fantastic, and that's when you know you're doing something right.
She said, do you wanna get high? Don't need no dinner tonight.
After this is a real treat, King of the World. As the third and final single, it was one I really didn't care for at first, but now, just like the British are coming, it's one of my favourites from the band. It's just a song that Rivers wrote about how much he loves his wife and all the things he'd do for her if he was king of the world. What a nice, light-hearted album. This is definitely so much better in every aspect than EWBAITE. Yeah, sorry EWBAITE fans, but this album has already won me over, and we're just halfway through, too! Summer Lane and Drunk Dory is a song that Rivers wrote about two parents that he talked to when he's taking his kid to school. It's fun songwriting like that really enforces the creativity and originality of this record. That chorus is great, really impressive. This was one I got attached to really quickly, one of the first on this album. The bridge is not much different from the rest of the song, but I still love it. One of the weaker solos on the album, but hey, you want a good time? Summer Lane and Drunk Dory is the one for you. The band then channeled their Inner Blue album and gave us LA Girls. How this wasn't a hit, I don't know. The chorus is fantastic and catchy, whilst the verse is so heavy that I can't help but love it. The bridge slows things down, but then it explodes back into it again. Oh, this album is beautiful, man. I just can't get enough. And with only 2 tracks left, I'm upset it's almost over. Jacked Up is next, and a confusing and menacing piano greets us. Rivers gives one of his best vocal performances of all time here. Seriously, try and hit that high note in the chorus as good as he does. Impossible. I remember not being that big of a fan of this track when I first heard it, but I kinda like it now. Maybe listen to it for yourself and see what you think. Our ender, Endless Bummer, is next, and it's acoustic. The protagonist sings about wanting the summer to end, about how he's broken up with his girlfriend, and why was she so cruel, you know? It's a beautiful song, sort of like Butterfly off Pinkerton, an acoustic song about letting someone go. Really, truly great. A must-listen song for all Weezer fans. But wait, it's not over yet. Do you hear that? That's the guitar feedback. And then it kills it, the whole album. The whole album kills it is what I mean. You know, what a way to end it. I mean, wow, that ending solo and the drums are perfection. We then end the same way we began, with the sounds of the beach and kids running around. The best thing Weezer has released since Pinkerton. It really is. It might even top Blue for me. This album gets 9.5 out of 10. Near perfection, and I love it. It begs the question, how was this album not a hit? How was it not the biggest thing in the world? It's great enough to be. It's fucking great enough to be. Seriously, if you haven't already listened to this album, it's great. Anyway, that's it from me for now. Next time we end this thing. That's right, the final part of the Quality of Weezer series, we'll be looking at Pacific Daydream, the Toto covers, and the brand new track, California Snow. Thanks, and see you all next time.
I'm gonna recommend that we go with, drum roll,